The house was built in 1910. It was originally a single-family home and only owned by one family during the entire time it was occupied, that being the Newkirk family. They bought it soon after it was built and lived here. Initially raised 4 boys. Mr. Newkirk was in investments and was quite well-to-do. This was a very nice neighborhood, one of the first nice neighborhoods outside of downtown Fort Worth. He, though, was hurt by the Depression when it hit, or the stock market crash. And so those 4 boys were pretty well grown by then. Some of them were in college, and they came back, dropped out of college, came back to town, helped the family, and then the war started. All 4 boys went to war. All 4 boys came home. Then they finished their educations and got married and raised families. And the family continued to live here until 1967. The father had died several years earlier, and it was in 1967 that the mother died. That was when they sold the home. And following that, between 1967 and when we bought it, it was a series of small businesses. I guess it still is, really, but a series of small businesses. The most recent one before we bought it, it was a restaurant called the Texas White House. They only served lunch here, but they were very successful. And it was a very well-known restaurant. So we retained the name when we bought it to turn it into a bed and breakfast. Mr. Newkirk was older, quite a number of years older than Mrs. Newkirk, and the room where the presence is their former master bedroom. And since the presence only appears to females, at least so far, it has only appeared to females, we kind of make the assumption that it is Mr. Newkirk's ghost, if that's what you want to call it. Mr. Newkirk and Mrs. Newkirk died in the home. They didn't die in that room, but the fact that it was their master bedroom plays a big part. There was a woman staying in the room by herself who came down the next morning to breakfast and explained that during the night, while she was asleep, she felt a person lie down behind her. She was on her side, as if it were back to back. And she had no reason to doubt that it was a person, but of course she was alone, so she was somewhat concerned as to who this was. And but she didn't move at first because, of course, she was a little afraid. And nothing happened. It was just like it was lying there. And so she decided that she would turn over and see who it was. And when she did, she said that she actually felt it would be the same as feeling someone get up off the bed when you're still in the bed. And she said she felt that, and then when she turned over, of course, there was nobody there. That was her only experience. The second time, basically the same thing happened, the bed incident. But in addition to that, there were other instances that evening where the woman said that a light came on in the room when she didn't turn it on. The fan came on when she didn't turn it on. And then, when, of course, both of them went back off, that sort of thing. So the first 2 instances were very, very similar. I suspected, though, that a lot of the second instance was power of suggestion because the second woman knew what had happened the first time. The most recent one was probably the one that made the biggest impression on me because the woman that it happened to had no way of knowing that it had happened before. And she came down. She was staying here with a group of women, and she was in that room by herself and was staying there, and said that she came into the room to change clothes for all of them to go to dinner, and knew that there was a presence on one side of the bed, just, I guess, standing there, whatever presences do. That's what the presence was doing. And she immediately was aware of it and went into the bathroom, came back. the presence was on the other side of the bed. She proceeded to go ahead and get dressed, went out to dinner, came back. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the presence was there when she got back from dinner, and then when she went into the bedroom, when she came back, it was gone, and no other instances occurred. But it was that following morning that she confronted me with this and told me that I had not told her that there was someone else staying in the room with her, and I didn't know what she was talking about. And it was then that I kind of followed up and realized that there was no way for her to have known about the previous instances, and so it kind of made me sit up and take notice. The closest that it came to being something that we can see or touch or feel was one of the women had a cell phone and had it plugged in kind of on the other side of the room from where the bed is. Okay. And that woman, after the presence had gotten up off of the bed, that woman said that the cell phone went berserk about 2 seconds after the presence got up off the bed. Well, my understanding of those kinds of things has to do with an electronic or an electromagnetic field that surrounds a presence, and that was what would cause something like that to happen. And she said that it did, so that's the closest that anybody has come to hearing or seeing or anything like that.